Hi, I'm Bailee, aka The Vegetarian Guide, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to overcome meat cravings and temptation when you're a new vegetarian. Let's get started. Craving meat is totally normal when you're a new vegetarian. You've probably been eating meat your entire life up until this point, so of course you're going to miss some of those familiar flavors and some of those foods that brought you comfort before. Cravings and temptation are totally inevitable, and the best thing that you can do is to have a plan ahead of time so you know how to handle them when they hit. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, are some strategies that you can use to overcome those cravings, to avoid that temptation, so you can stick to your vegetarian diet with ease. The first strategy to overcome temptation and cravings is to remember your why. That's the reason why you went vegetarian in the first place. The more clear you can be on this, the better it's going to be to help you stay motivated throughout your journey. So if you can take a minute to write it down and hang it on your fridge or put it as the background on your phone, you're going to see it all the time. And that's going to make it so much easier for you to remember there's a reason why you're doing this. It's important to me. It highlights my values, and I'm going to stick with it even when those pesky cravings pop in. The next strategy is to find foods that have umami flavor. And you probably have never heard that term before, but umami is that savory, meaty flavor that you get from meat. And that's something that, of course, you can be craving if you've been eating it your whole life and you're used to that flavor. So instead, what you need to do are find some plant-based sources of that flavor. You can actually find umami spice sometimes at different grocery stores. Otherwise, you can try foods like mushrooms, soy sauce, and miso, or even doing something like grilling your food or using smoked paprika can give it that meaty taste that you're missing. Be a little bit careful with plant-based meat substitutes, because while they can be a great alternative, sometimes you find yourself comparing your meat substitute to the real thing, and that can leave you a little bit disappointed sometimes. So I would recommend that you stick to whole plant-based foods instead as much as possible. But if you have a plant-based meat substitute like a burger or something else that you like, go ahead and do that to satisfy that craving. This next strategy might be one of my favorites because it's super effective and a little bit silly. It's called giving your stomach a name. So if you assign a name to your stomach, I'm going to call mine Steve for this example, Stomach Steve. Then you can associate your cravings with Steve instead of with you. You are going vegetarian. You have goals and things that you want to stick to, and you know that you have a great reason for going vegetarian. Steve, on the other hand, is like a pesky little toddler. He can't keep it in check when those cravings come up. It's Steve who wants that burger, or Steve who wants those chicken nuggets. You know better. So when Steve starts acting up, you can talk to him like you're a gentle parent and he's a whiny little toddler. And you can say, Steve, I know what's best for us, and we're not going to do that. We're going to find other ways to satisfy that craving. And Steve might rebel a little bit like toddlers do, but you know best. The next strategy is to have an accountability partner, and this works in two different ways. If you have an accountability buddy, maybe someone who's going vegetarian with you or someone who you know is going to hold you to your goals, you don't want to disappoint this person. So if a craving or temptation comes up, you automatically don't give in because you don't want to have to tell your accountability buddy that you blew it. The other thing accountability person can be there for is when you have those cravings or that temptation, you can either send them a text message or give them a call and say, I really, really want a cheeseburger right now. Talk me off the ledge. And that person can be there for you to support you, to help you make the best decision for you. If you don't have a designated accountability buddy, or you're just looking for even more support, hop into our Easy Beginner Vegetarian Facebook group. I'll link that in the description below, and there you'll have tons of buddies that'll be there to help you. The next strategy is to have a mantra or a motto, something that you can say when those cravings pop up that's going to help you remember your why and bring you back to your focus. This could be something like as simple as, I am vegetarian, I am not giving in. You could do something totally silly like plant power. I don't care what it is. Whatever works for you, something that you can say to yourself that is going to remind you to stay on track because it's important. This is something that you can just say to yourself internally when those cravings strike, but even more effective is if you can say it out loud. Maybe you need to sneak off to the bathroom and look at yourself in the mirror and say this mantra or motto out loud to yourself while you're looking in the mirror. That'll really help it set in. But just something, a phrase that is going to be like your headline for your vegetarian journey throughout your entire trip, so that every time this craving or temptation comes up, you know that you can shut it down with this saying that represents your vegetarian journey. The next strategy is to have an indulgent backup meal or snack available at all times. If you're totally craving a juicy McDonald's cheeseburger, eating a salad for dinner is probably not going to get rid of that craving. This is the time to break out a box of mac and cheese out of your cupboard. It's the time to whip out that frozen pizza you've got stashed in your fridge. Something that is going to make you feel like, that was actually pretty darn good. It might not satisfy the craving completely, but it's going to be indulgent enough that you're going to feel like, okay, I got something that was really delicious. You can also keep something like a chocolate bar or some nuts, something to snack on in your purse at all times too. So if you really feel like you've got a craving coming on, or you're at lunch with your friends and they all have meat foods and you're getting really tempted, that you have something indulgent you can pull out of your purse and use as a backup plan. Another way to resist those cravings and temptation is just to stay full. We underestimate that if our bellies are nice and full, you're probably not going to be thinking so much about eating other foods. And ways that you can stay full when you're on a vegetarian diet are to eat lots of proteins and healthy fats and fiber at all your meals. So if you're having a big grain bowl for lunch, for example, with quinoa and tofu and all of these things that are really filling you up, you're probably going to be less likely to want to snack on a chicken nugget later. So just stay full and keep those healthy whole foods coming in, and you're probably going to be more likely to resist those temptations for other things. The next strategy is just to get creative with your recipes. Sometimes cravings will come up just because you're feeling a little bit bored with the foods that you have, which is understandable. If you're eating the same things over and over again, then you might want to have a little bit more diversity in what you're eating, and the things that might pop up for you that you want are going to be the things that you probably shouldn't be having. So make sure that you're integrating a lot of different kinds of meals, a lot of different cuisines, Mexican, Italian, Indian, all kinds of different things, so that you're always eating these different flavors, different textures, different things that keep it interesting so you don't have those cravings pop up as often. The last strategy for overcoming meat cravings and temptations when you're a new vegetarian is just to stay away from meat as much as you can. I know that's not always possible, but sometimes it is within your power. If your friends want to go out for lunch and they recommend a barbecue place, obviously there's going to be temptation there. Something that you can do is either maybe suggest that you go to a different restaurant where you know there's options, or if that's kind of off the table, then just eat before you go so that your tummy is full and you don't feel like you need to be eating those meat treats. Another thing you can do if you're going to social events where you know meat is going to be served would be to stay away from the grill, for example, or stay away from where they're serving the meat, and make sure that you have your own food that you can really enjoy. That might be the time to bring your own dish to share, or really stake out what vegetarian options they have and fill up on those so you're not tempted by the meat. Obviously, you don't want to avoid your friends and your family completely in these social events, so just have some of these plans in place so that you can overcome those cravings or those temptations when they hit, and you'll be totally fine. So there you have it. Now we've outlined a lot of different strategies that you can use for overcoming meat cravings and temptation when you're a new vegetarian. I hope you found at least one or two strategies that you think will work for you. I recommend going back through the video again and maybe writing down which ones you thought would work best so you have a plan and you're ready when those temptations hit. If you want more information about how you can transition to a vegetarian with ease, I recommend that you grab my Secrets to Vegetarian Success free ebook. I'll link that in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, enjoy your vegetarian adventure. Cheers.